Hey guys, Mike from the James16Group here. So I wanted to do a general video for you guys about the Autochartist web app. So we've been focusing on the MetaTrader plugin, which again I have running at all times, but I actually keep the web app open most of the time too. Or if not, I actually end up starting on the web app a lot of times too. And that's because your ability to go through the pairs quicker, go through whatever you're looking to trade. You can do it faster. You can filter it better. And it sort of gives me a better market snapshot of where I might want to gravitate towards when I move over to my trading platform here. So I wanted to give you guys some tips that I've found very useful. And again, it all comes back to they're useful because we're applying it to price action, right? So I'm looking at it from a standpoint of, Autochartist is saving me time. A ton of time. It's giving me information about quality of patterns, length of patterns, a new pattern that emerges. So I get to save all that time, but then I have to apply my knowledge to that information to benefit it from a trade standpoint, which again I've shown you guys and will continue to do. So I wanted to just show you some of the different things here because I think once you understand what you're using in terms of these filters here. So again, if you go to the web app here and you'll see on the right here, results filter, we're going to get a whole bunch of things that we can do. So first of all, we can narrow it down by the types of trades we like, right? So I love the key levels and I love the chart patterns. And I often take the Fibonacci patterns out. That's not really my thing. So again, it gives me the ability that I don't have to go through that. Now, sometimes I like to keep them up, to look at them and see if they coincide with my analysis. But my major focus here are the chart patterns and key levels. That's where I'm best. That's where, the same stuff I'm doing day in and day out. But the real goodies are down here, right? Where we get to see, again, the pair we're trading, what time frame, the pattern, when it was identified, the quality, the type, the length, the age. But within these, again, are really some very key elements that make it even easier to find great patterns. So one thing you can do is search it by quality. So again, quality from Autochartist is the likelihood to go ahead and hit its target. And that's huge, right? So you're looking at a company that's taken all this data, deciphered it for you, and said, over time, X amount of times, this is the probability is going to increase that this pattern hits its target. So that's a great starting place, right? Because if you go ahead and have all these opportunities arise, right? So right now there's 79 opportunities between emerge, completing type patterns. So when you're looking at that, you might get a little bit overwhelmed. So it's okay, narrow it down. There are going to be days when there's less opportunities and it's easier to go through them all. And days where you might say, okay, I have to limit what I look at because I want to start to react to the market. So that's sort of what I'm doing here with you is let's use these to our advantage, right? Let's go through the quality and look at those first and say, okay, look at, here's a quality pattern that we know has a very good chance to make it to its target. Let's look for price action on the breakout like we've done, right? So another thing that I do here that I love is the length here, right? So we have this length pattern. So what I'm going to show you is how you can use Confluence between just the filters here before you even go to your charts. So the reason I like the length pattern is as a breakout trader specifically, these sort of come into almost the most importance for me because the longer it takes a breakout pattern to form. So for example, here again is that pound yen, right? Here's that pound yen channel up that we're looking at here. So here's your channel up, right? Price is consolidated between that channel, right? Now what the length indicator here or filter is signifying is how many bars has that pattern taken to emerge or complete, right? So from here to here is 249 bars, 250 candles, right? So that's a lot of time to go by. So when that market finally breaks out, usually if the conditions are right, you're going to have a more successful breakout. Again, we don't want to just find a lengthy pattern and just trade it, right? The idea here is to combine this knowledge going in while we search for our entries, right? So we've done that in the previous videos where we're hunting for entries, we're managing those trades. So again, this all comes together, right? It's not one or the other. It's everything together to create that story that I like to call it. So if you go and start filtering by length, what you're going to find is these patterns that have been winding up longer. And as a breakout trader, that generally is a stronger sign for me that it's a higher quality pattern, because it's simply that the market has had more time to digest the market price action, right? So if we go and say flip it to the shorter length patterns here, that doesn't mean that these patterns won't work out. But what it means to me is that there's been less time to create these patterns, that the sustainability of them tend to go down if you're not extra careful. So, whether you take a short length pattern or a long one, you still need to formulate your story on the chart, develop a trade plan. But a good place to start is really some of these longer patterns. Now, if you mix some of these longer patterns, for example, here's the pound yen again, and you look for the quality from Autochartist too, you can now get Confluence going into that pattern that, hey, not only has this been forming for a while, so, as Mike was saying, these can be more quality type breakouts with proper price action, but Autochartist is confirming that this is a high quality one to get us to our targets, right? So, this one made it there. This one, for me, again, Autochartist target's a little bit lower, but in terms of a very solid move from the initial breakout to this very major support area where, at least we can take profit, get to break even, take some off the table, and maybe target lower. This happened. And for me, it all starts with that quality of the pattern here. So just a really solid pattern. And again, that's just what I'll do is I'll go through the different lengths here. And again, same thing with support and resistance. If you find a really strong support area that's taken a large time to be created, when those areas break or price action off those areas, whether it's long or short, like we had here, tend to just be higher quality. So it's a really good filter to have when you have a lot of active trading opportunities. And again, you're going to see the same information when you go through your MetaTrader plugin. You'll go chart to chart and say, oh, this pattern is formed over a short period of time. This pattern has formed over a long period of time. But the web app sums this up for you so much quicker, and you can sort it so much faster. So again, whether there's certain symbols you want to go through, certain patterns that you prefer, some patterns I actually like over other patterns. I love rising wedges and falling wedges and channels. So sometimes, that might be where you want to spend your time, but I really am into the length patterns here and the quality of these patterns. If you combine those two and then look to apply price action analysis to it, I think it's a really neat tip, will save you a lot of time. And again, take advantage of it. Autochartist, is going through tons of data to spit this out and present it in a clean way like this. So again, I'm going to do a lot more videos like this. Some will be trading specific. Some will be sort of in the nature of Autochartist and their plugins and their web app. But hopefully, as we continue to go on here, you guys will become more confident in utilizing our material in the group and the Autochartist platform.